What's up, everybody? Hello. Good evening. Welcome back to another stream, my friends. We are going to get going here in a moment. Let me just finish setting up everything. But I hope everyone is doing good. Boy, is it still cold outside. Holy cow. Goodness. So we got quite a bit of things to talk about tonight, you guys. And Roby in the chat, first of all, welcome, Roby. Roby actually mentioned one of the things I want to talk about tonight, and that is being some space weather. Isn't really the big thing on the channel, but if it's big enough, we usually talk about it. We do have a bit of northern lights possible tonight. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. But anyways, let's see who we got here today. We have Chris. What's up, Chris? What's up, Peachy? What's up, Mark? What's up, Roby, of course? Good to see you. What's up, Dart? Saying, yo, what's up? Diana, good to see you. Hello from Chile, Michigan. Hello from Chile, Florida. It's so cold. What's up, D? Saying, what's up, Andrew? Warm, still here in Southern California. You're like the only person in the country that's actually pretty warm. I mean, look at these temperatures here. It looks like the southern side is like 60s, 70s, and 80s in some spots, while the rest of the country is like 30s and 40s and 50s in some spots. It's just, it is so freaking cold, dude. But thankfully, actually in the forecast, things are going to start to pick up quite a bit here overall. Here, I do want to hop you guys over here to the Northern Lights real quickly, or to the forecast here, space weather. I can't even English. Space Weather Prediction Center. So let's go and bring you guys over here. So we do have, actually I'll bring it over here for you guys. We do have a little bit of something going on tonight. Apparently, we got some pretty heavy activity going on here for the Northern Lights. Let's see, 24-hour observed maximum G4 has been observed apparently here. Power systems possible. Yeah, so that's actually a thing with, space weather is, whenever you get these geomagnetic storms, they can actually disrupt the power grids. They can disrupt the communication satellites and all kinds of stuff. So we got to watch out for something this big. A G4 is serious. I mean, that's like, it's kind of like, how the scale for hurricanes goes and like tornadoes goes up to F5, EF5 or category 5. The scale goes up for geomagnetic storms. G5 is the max, which we had a G5, I think not last year, but the year before. I believe that was a G5 that had like really crazy aurora activity all the way down to Florida. But yeah, G4 here has been observed apparently, which is still very significant here. It looks like, really the best places to see it's going to be up towards the Great Lakes. I mean, the closer you guys are to the Great Lakes, the better. Obviously we have a really good shot over Canada. I mean, pretty much a lot of Canada is going to be within the range of those Northern Lights here. Let's see here. Weather Drop says the auroras are crazy in Chicago. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, Chicago will be a pretty good area to watch it, actually. Chicago's right on the edge there. Right on the edge, so definitely one of those good spots. But yeah, really the Great Lakes is where you can kind of see it the most from what it looks like. In the U.S. anyways. Let's see. What's up, Todd? Say hello from Northwest Georgia. What's up, my friend? Good to see ya. Judy says, hi, what about Sevierville, Tennessee? What, with the auroras? Yeah, you probably... I mean, I don't have an exact map, but it doesn't really look like the aurora forecast has Tennessee really in a whole lot of anything. So, I mean... I wouldn't count on it too much, to be honest with you. Here, let me actually pull up the sat view. You ain't gonna be able to see none if there's cloud cover, which I don't think there is much of. Because of this cooler air mass that's kind of rolled through here. Here, let me bring you guys over here to the this view here. We'll do true color. Okay, so it does look like, you can see we do have a little bit of cloud activity. I'll go ahead and play this here. You can see we have a little bit of clouds going on towards the Ohio Valley. But yeah, up there by Chicago, it could be pretty good. As somebody mentioned here, was it weather drops? Yeah. The more north you can go, the better, honestly. But definitely, pretty good in pretty good viewing here up north. So keep an eye out there for that tonight, you guys, because definitely is going to be something to look out here for. Anyway, so that's that. Just want to go ahead and mention that real quickly with you guys here. We'll probably talking about it again before the stream ends. But the main thing tonight that I want to talk about is severe weather. We might be seeing an activity increase with severe weather. I can't even English. I'm losing my mind, y'all. I've been up for a long time, so if I'm not fully there, then that's why. But yeah, so there is a little bit of a shot for maybe some severe weather coming up here. SPC has not put any risk out yet due to the uncertainty factor right now, but I've been noticing some trends. Let me actually bring up the models here for you guys. We'll talk about it. So we were actually mentioning this a little bit yesterday. We were talking about it a little bit in yesterday's stream. So if we hop over to GFS, which we're going to do here right now, and we're going to take a look at the we'll look at the other models as well. It's good to not just look at one model. So we'll talk about other models too. But GFS here, we go our way down in time here, and you can actually see we start to get a little bit of that northerly air advection here. This is kind of for the later, actually for the early portion of next week here. Now, GFS does have a pretty nice little low developing towards the central plains, tracking towards the Midwest here. We'll actually be drawing up some warm air here from the Gulf, and we'll actually be seeing some cooler air come down from the north here. So, you got that clash there of the cold and the warm air, with that low that's kind of spinning everything up. So, there could, from what it looks like, there definitely could be a decent amount of instability available here for possible storms and maybe even severe storms here, which we'll look into. And, like I said, we were just watching this here yesterday. I mean, this was the models yesterday. You can see, the same run, but from yesterday. There still is that support there. I mean, obviously it looks a little different. I mean, this is for next week, which, there is still, of course, going to be some, small to medium changes, but the models have been pretty consistent, in terms of showing that advecting air, that low developing and, instability increasing across portions of like the Midwest, the South here, the Southern Plains, by the Gulf Coast maybe. Anything beyond that point is just a little bit too far out to look. You guys know me. I don't like to look too far. But, like I said, unless you see a lot of agreement, in which we are, then that's something that we'll definitely look into. So there is a pretty good amount of instability here. So we do get that low that's developing from what it looks like towards the Central Plains and the Midwest. So if we overlay the instability again, you can see that's where all the fuel is for potential storm and severe weather activity. So looking at the wind shear, like our lower level winds here, it actually looks like we do have a little bit of a lower level jet too. So we'll have to monitor that and see how that evolves. We got some pretty good mid-level flow. You can see that that trough there. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to look for. There definitely could be maybe a bit of severe weather ahead. We do have this kind of long wave trough here you guys can see. I mean, right now it's, well off the west coast currently. But you can see that long wave trough that comes in here from the west and eventually detaches from the main jet stream, becoming a short wave trough, which then that's whenever we get that low really kicking up towards the plains and the Midwest and stuff like that. So we'll definitely look out for it. Let's see here. Anna says, "Hey Andrew, we are driving to Shreveport to Houston tomorrow morning. Does it look okay?" So Shreveport to Houston, that's a decent little drive. Here, let me bring up. We'll bring up our other models here. We'll actually look at that here. We'll bring y'all over here to the other models. But yeah, let me look real fast for you. We'll bring up we'll do HRRR here, kind of in the short term. We'll do the 0 UTC run here. I don't think we're really having much go on. Yeah, well, there's really not going to be a whole lot, like, precipitation-wise. From what it looks like, things are going to be pretty good to go. But, yeah, really not seeing anything too big of a concern here. Let me actually bring up our temperatures here. Oh, yeah, it's actually going to warm up a little bit here. Yeah, tomorrow afternoon, you can kind of see that temps are going to actually warm up quite a bit here as we're starting to get more of that advecting air from the Gulf, starting to kind of eventually working its way back up in the country, which will be warming things up for a lot of us, thankfully. But what a cool down we had, though. It's pretty wild. But, yeah, there's no problems. It doesn't look like anything really going on out there. Anyways, so, yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that system, though. We're going to bring you guys back over here. So that is something that I really wanted to talk about tonight was the system here. Let me compare with the European model here. Also the ECMWF, I mean, you can see it has a lot of that instability, forming. and developing over the the southern plains in the Midwest here. So you can see all of that instability here, really starting to build in. So the hot spot would be the southern plains, and the Midwest here would be where a bit of that severe weather could be possible here. So this is mostly showing for, it shows that instability starting to work its way in, kind of right around Sunday. A pretty good chunk of it really kicking off between Monday and Tuesday, maybe going through mid next week as well. Did I get any snow myself? No, I did not, but we got 35-degree temps in Central Florida here. It was too dry to snow, but it was cold enough for it. I mean, if there was moisture, then it could have. The temperatures would have supported it, but no, it was just too dry, and there's not enough moisture over us. But it was cold, trust me. It was real cold. Yeah, but a lot of you guys up towards the Great Lakes have gotten a pretty good amount of lake effect snow. I've actually seen a couple of areas that's really picked up quite a bit here. Let me actually we'll bring up pivotal weather again here. We'll go ahead and show you guys the observed snowfall. I mean, you guys, some of you all got pretty good amount of snow from this here. Let's see here, RTMA analysis. So we'll go ahead and show you guys the last 72 hours worth of snow. I mean, it's not too bad, actually. A lot of you guys really picked up quite a bit, especially by the Ohio Valley here, you can see. It seems like the most of the snow that's fallen in the last 3 days has really fallen across northern Indiana, southwestern Michigan. We got a couple hot spots here too. Upper state Michigan. Of course, you got northwestern Pennsylvania, portions of western New York, which usually gets quite a bit of lake effect snow. But with all that cold air, just rushing over the Great Lakes, I mean it'll really start getting those snow generators going, as I always say. So. But, I mean, it looks like we've actually observed a bit of snow. So, remember, this is within the last 72 hours, last 3 days. It looks like we've actually observed some cumulative snow in the Rockies. Or, not the Rockies. I need to go to bed. Not the Rockies. The Appalachian here up in western North Carolina. Also, bits of Tennessee. Looks like they've reported some snow. It looks like even maybe Georgia, extreme northeastern side of Georgia might have seen a little bit of snow. That's pretty wild. We did see some snow in South Carolina yesterday when we were streaming. Doesn't look like Virginia got much yet. It seemed like the mountains kind of took all of that snow there. I mean, West Virginia got a pretty good amount there. But yeah, I mean, really, it's been pretty decent here. This is the total snow so far this year. So this is finally updated. Obviously the Rockies, they've gotten quite a bit of snow, as they typically do, pretty early, actually. But yeah, I mean, quite a bit of areas actually did get a good little amount of snowfall. Roby says, let's see, of course, I'll be in the line of fire. What, for what? What, the severe weather potential, stuff like that? Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. I mean, I'm going to be watching SPC pretty closely. It looks like we're going to have a pretty good amount of moisture too. So basically with that low, we were talking about that area of low pressure developing, or kind of rolling through the plains in the Midwest here. That's going to be creating that cold front there. We're going to be getting some cooler air, more drier air coming down. And then, of course, with that being said, we're going to start to get that warmer air advection again, from the Gulf here. It's going to start supplying quite a bit of moisture, quite a bit of warmth into the country, which will actually, warm things up quite a bit here. So that's definitely something that we need to look into. I mean, it's pretty consistent. I mean, that was Euro. Here's GFS here. It's a little bit delayed in terms of timing. Seems like Euro kind of has it persisting a little bit longer than the GFS does. But yeah, no, from this point on, I mean, you could see the GFS does have, some of that advection starting again, warming up the south. But eventually we really start pulling in a pretty good amount of moisture here for kind of early mid next week here, which will be kind of when we could start to see maybe a little bit of severe weather activity here. So definitely something to look into. We'll see. We'll just have to see what happens here. I mean, models, like I said, between Euro and GFS, I mean, they both talk about it. So there's a little bit of support there, and like we mentioned as well, we talked about this yesterday. The models were also still talking about it. So the fact that models are, have not got rid of the idea by now, and the fact that we have multiple different models suggesting this, tells us there's a decent amount of confidence that this could actually occur. I'm going to grab a little sounding here. We're just going to grab one up in eastern Texas. I'm going to see what the sounding brings for us, just to kind of get a vertical view of the atmosphere here, just to kind of see what we got going on. So first of all, one thing I noticed, we do have a pretty good amount of upper-level wind shear. Upper-level mid winds are moving pretty fast from what it looks like. If you look closely, there's an ever so slight amount of veering winds occurring. We're going to have to monitor that maybe for tornadic activity here. You typically see possibly tornadic activity when you have veering wind shear in the lower atmosphere, so the change in wind speed and direction with altitude. So you can see there's a little bit of veering going on here. Not much hooking or, curvy hotographs, not really. But look at that. Dew point on surface is 68 Fahrenheit. Pretty good amount of instability, working pretty high up into the atmosphere. I mean, this is up 12 kilometers or so. It's where we have quite a bit of instability in the atmosphere. It's not just lower or mid instability. It's just throughout the atmosphere, which is what you need for severe weather and stuff. But, yeah, I mean, it definitely looks pretty decent there. I mean, it's not too bad here. Decape values are almost 1,000. Which is, decent. Could definitely have some organized downdrafts, maybe for some gusty winds and stuff like that. So that'll be another thing to look out for. Maybe, mostly what I'm seeing here is a gusty wind concern and maybe tornadoes in this sounding here, but it's nothing super significant with that one. But still, it is a potential threat. Let me grab another one up in Arkansas here. By the way, y'all, this is GFS, by the way. Molly says, do I think Dallas will get hit bad from what it seems or just south? It'll be probably within the area, of Dallas area. It's a little hard to tell right now, given that this is, a pretty good amount of ways away out. This is, let's see, this is about a week, a little bit less than a week out, right? So, there is going to be, potential of, a few things changing here, but the idea is in place. Like we mentioned, the models have been talking about this here for a little bit, and not to mention we have agreement on some of the main global models like GFS Euro, like we were talking about here. But yeah, it's a little early to tell here for now, the specifics, as that's going to be kind of evolving over the next few days, which we'll keep you guys updated with. Roby says, thanks for the update, Andrew. My wife wants to go to Walmart. All right. Well, you have a safe Walmart trip, my friend. I know it can be pretty crazy over there. But take care, my friend. You're very welcome. What's up, Robin? Good to see ya. Saying hi, Andrew. What's up? Hope you're doing well. All right, so here's a little sounding I grabbed in Arkansas. So one of the first things that immediately screams at me is there is a bit of a capping inversion. So a warm layer in the lower atmosphere that could be pretty good, as that could actually prevent storms from firing altogether, for one, or really delay their formation. Whenever you have a warm layer like that, it prevents the air from rising, to continue to rise due to the buoyancy. Basically, as you go up in the atmosphere, the temperature drops, and the warm air that's rising, kind of reaches an environment where it's already equal to or warmer than the air that is rising. Does that make sense? It probably doesn't. I'm trying my best. So basically, if that happens, it just kind of stops the positive buoyancy, so that it just stops rising, essentially. That updraft that's trying to form. But anyways, what all you really need to know, and what I probably should have just said to begin with, is that whenever you see a capping inversion like that, it's hard for storms to fire off, and sometimes they just don't fire off altogether. But whenever you have a cold front kind of like this, there is some strong vertical velocity, meaning vertical winds, which can allow for the warm air to just burst through that warm layer. And continue into the cooler environment above. Anyways, I'm not trying to bore you guys too much here. I'm just trying to put a little bit of explanation into this here and kind of what's going on in the environment. But anyways, but yeah, I mean, it's just something we'll have to see here. From what models are suggesting, I mean, the areas that could be seeing this, includes possibly like Texas, maybe Oklahoma, Arkansas, maybe Missouri. Depends how high up it goes, but a lot of these areas here could be in the area that we need to look for, and with that advecting warm air from the Gulf here, and then you got that surge of cooler air coming down from up north with another cold front, associated with the low that's rolling to the east here. I'll go ahead and show you guys the jet stream view again here, the mid-level flow. Once again, it was a long wave trough. You can kind of see just this really big dip in the jet stream here. Eventually detaches from the main jet and becomes a shortwave trough here, and then of course kind of rolls its way throughout the plains here. And with that being said, the wind shear will be increasing, so the winds throughout the atmosphere will be increasing in strength, and of course all that instability that will be building in. You got the instability, you got the wind shear, which helps organizes those storms and stuff. For thunderstorm activity, you need strong winds throughout the atmosphere to keep your updraft and your downdraft separated, which is your intake and your outlet. So basically, you got the air coming in, and you got the air going out. It's kind of like an engine, right? You got air coming in, and then you got the intake, you got the exhaust. It's kind of the similar thing for for storms. You got the intake and you got the exhaust. So basically, the winds kind of keep those separated. Keeps your intake air completely separated away from the air that's going out. And if you have no winds in the atmosphere, the air that goes up, the intake, will actually collapse on itself. And therefore, the air that's trying to get out gets caught into the air that's going in. I'm probably confused so many people, and I'm really sorry. But, that's why wind shear is really important. While winds are important for storm formation and stuff, which appears to be in place, because of that load that we have. Whenever you have a strong low like that, it can increases the winds because of the difference in pressure, essentially. Anyways, just wanted to throw a little bit of insight there for you guys. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with it. I mean, there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of changes between now and then. That does not sound good. I think my AC unit's breaking. Anyways. Yeah, this one room gets like super hot in here. I mean, right now it's showing 78 in my room right now. Yet I'm wearing a jacket. I don't even understand. But anyways, yeah, so like I said, we'll just watch it. I mean, we'll definitely keep an eye out there for it overall here. I do want to hop you guys over here to back over here to this view. And we'll kind of just show you guys what the models are suggesting here, kind of all together over the next few days. So first of all, like right now where we stand currently, we do have this high pressure in the south. This was that air mass that came down from up north, that really cold air mass that, really shot down here. So high pressure here in the south, leading to some mostly clear skies currently. Now up north, we do still have a little bit of, some of that lake effect stuff going on here. Let me actually bring up the radar real quickly. Let's see if we can find any of that. But yeah, there's a little bit of that activity still continuing. Let me grab a radar view in let's try New York. We probably got some activity going on out here right now. Let's actually make sure we turn on the radar so that we know it, so it can actually work. But yeah, let's actually bring up Buffalo radar here. We'll see what's going on. But yeah, we do have a little bit of that activity. There you go. A little bit of that activity still continuing on currently. So we'll go and turn on precipitation type here. Yep. So a little bit of snow and, lake effect snow still kind of going on here right now. Anyways, but hopping back, so we got a little bit of that going on up there. Up in the west, it doesn't look like a whole lot's going on up west for now, but we're getting ready to get a system to roll through. Pretty much here for the 13th. we're going to be seeing another little system kind of rolling into the west here. Could bring some rain for like California, the Pacific Northwest, like Oregon, Washington State. High pressure still continuing across the southeastern and eastern U.S. Still maybe a little bit of lake effect snow going on up there in the northeast here. We work away in the 14th here. Then we get another little system that roll through. That's actually going to be the system that could drive severe weather here. But that starts to really show up kind of right around the 14th and 15th. Maybe actually driving some rain and stuff for like Southern California and the southwestern U.S. We could get a little bit of that. Also, a little bit of moisture continuing in the Pacific Northwest. Still high pressure prevailing across the east here. A lot of that lake effect snow should be done by this point in time. But as we work away kind of into early next week here, you can see that low there that's impacting the southwest worked its way into the plains in the Midwest here. Now, GFS kind of suggests that there could be maybe a little bit of snowfall up towards the central plains and whatnot. This is for the 17th here. But this will be that system that'll start to really pull up the warm air, really kind of, maybe get some of that severe weather going on with another little cold front coming through. And, really anything beyond that point's a little bit tricky because the models get a little bit more inaccurate, the further you go out. But, yeah, behind this system, we'll get more high pressure building in as that cooler air mass takes over yet again. But not as significant, not as cold as this one that we just dealt with. Shouldn't be anyway, so that's definitely good. But we'll have to see what happens. So that's GFS. Here's Euro. The ECMWF model. Yeah, really not a lot of differences in the short range. I mean, we got both the models suggesting, all these systems kind of rolling through here. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like we're in sync quite a bit here. Actually, Euro shows a pretty decent little low developing towards the northeastern U.S. here. What is that? That's like right around the 15th and 16th. Let's see. Let's try GFS here. Yeah, actually GFS suggested too. It looks like the Northeast might be getting a decent little low to develop here. Euro kind of wants it getting down to 970s. Wow. You know what? I could see some really, really tight ISO bars here. That would tell us that it'd probably get a little windy. Whenever you see a tight gradient like that, pressure gradient, you see all these little lines. These are all ISO bars. That tells me that there will likely be some strong winds. Let me look and see. Oh, yeah, especially off the coast, you can see there's quite a bit of strong winds. Now, these are sustained. Definitely gets pretty windy, like 20 knot sustained winds. I mean, that's like 25 mile an hour sustained winds, basically. Well, we have an obviously higher gust then if that materializes, which, I mean, definitely looks like it. So, the Northeast will probably get a little bit windy here for next week. So, just a little bit of a future cast for you guys. But anyways, folks, well, I mean, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them down in the chat. But yeah, I just wanted to hop on here for just a little bit tonight, just to kind of talk about what's going on here, with the severe weather potential coming up and everything like that. But, yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions or, any comments or anything like that, go ahead and leave them down in the chat. I'll be more than happy to help you guys. But honestly, I mean, we pretty much covered everything we really needed to. Other than that, I mean, there's just really not a whole lot. Tropics are dead. There's really nothing going on in the tropics either. Things are... Here, I'll go and bring you guys over here. Yeah, things have completely died out in the tropics here. I mean, there's no systems really expected. The Eastern Pacific, according to GFS, looks like we might have a little system maybe trying to develop here for next week, but... Yeah, I mean, for the Atlantic, it's just done, I'm pretty sure. I don't think we're going to have really much more activity here. I mean, hurricane season ends in like 20-something days, or, yeah, something like that. Later, at the end of the month is whenever hurricane season ends here. So, I think we're pretty much done. A pretty inactive year for the U.S. in general. There is not a single hurricane to impact the United States directly, thankfully. We had that one that steered last minute, which was pretty good. They got kind of pulled out by that other system. I think it was, Humberto? They pulled it out. I don't remember. I'm terrible at remembering. But yeah, the season was definitely pretty, not really crazy for the U.S., which is definitely good. Definitely thankful for that. But we had still quite a few storms in biggest one obviously was Melissa, that really devastated like Jamaica, Cuba, Bahamas, and out there by like Bermuda and stuff too. But anyways, my friends, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and roll off here. Just want to say thank you all for joining. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead and head on off here. If y'all have any final questions, be sure to throw them down in the chat before we roll off. If not, then we'll catch you guys here probably tomorrow for another update with you guys. But yeah, we'll definitely keep you guys posted on everything. We'll be talking about everything that's going on, and if there's any big changes or anything like that, we'll definitely let you guys know. But the area that we definitely just need to watch, some of these areas here, it wouldn't be, a bad idea just to keep an eye on it, with that low developing and rolling through the plains in the Midwest, and the return of the warmer air into the country here, bringing some moisture along with it. So we'll definitely just keep an eye out there for it. But all right, everybody. Well, thank you all for joining. You guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your night here. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, leaving a like. It'll be greatly, greatly appreciated. But already, my friends, thank you all for joining. And all right, we'll see you guys here in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.